you are less guided than before. We don't spoil everything with icons everywhere. We let the player explore the world, look at the world.
Benoit, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Kick us off. How exactly are you involved in Assassin's Creed? What do you do?
Well, nice to meet you. I'm Benoit, game director on Assassin's Creed Shadows.
And it's a big day for you. We're getting the announcement now. What are we seeing today?
Finally, we're announcing Assassin's Creed Shadows with a full cinematic trailer. So we will see the game, the two dual protagonists that we have, Yasuke and Naue, in action. The vibe of the game, a bit where they're coming from, because they have different personal story that will intertwine. So we see a bit this vibe and teasing the future.
We're heading off to Japan. Why was this the setting for the game this time around?
It's a good question. Like each time we start a new AC game, we always look at the different type of setting we can do, where we should go, where we want to go also, because the team has a big say in that. We're looking at what the fan would like. So there's a lot of people involved. We're looking also in past project and the future project we want. And we felt this time it was the perfect moment for Japan.
And there's always certain things that come into Assassin's Creed games that can only really be there because of the setting. I'm wondering, what is it that's in this game that's only possible because we're in Japan?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, of course, Japan, if we look at the fantasy of it, we have the samurai and the shinobi fantasy, which is perfect for us, because one of the key pillars we wanted to have is featuring combat and stealth in a really good way. So with the samurai embodying the combat and the shinobi embodying the stealth, we can really challenge both gameplay in their own fantasy. So that was great for us. And we're also adding a new type of progression with a league that you will build over the course of the game, which is pretty much in line with what was feudal Japan, with the different clans, the different leagues. So it was possible a bit for that too.
And I want to pick up on that because, you know, a lot of people will say Mirage was very focused on the stealth, Valhalla was very focused on the combat. Are you bringing those two together, and what do you think the balance should be?
That's what we analyze. Like the past few games, our RPG game, mostly like Origin, Odyssey, and Valhalla, had a big combat component, and with Mirage that brought back stealth more as a core pillar. It was a bit our train of thought. We wanted to have this combat experience that was super great in the RPG experience, and we also wanted this stealth being really focused at the core of the game. So we have both in game. With the samurai and the shinobi fantasy, the player can bounce back with both character. Of course, they can do a bit of both. So Naue, our shinobi, can still fight, but she's really good and better at stealth. So if player want to bounce back between the two gameplay, they can just by switching character.
And Ubisoft has talked a lot recently about authenticity in games. I know when Mirage came out, we spoke about the fact that you could play it in Arabic, and just some of the little details that were added in by people who really knew the setting well. Is that happening as well for this game?
Yes, in fact, we put a lot of emphasis on authenticity and making sure we depict Japan and the culture right. So when we started the project, we had an historian at day one with us. We had a ton of experts from all around the world. Sorry, and we had also studio of Ubisoft Osaka and Tokyo with us to make sure that each step of the way we clearly have all those things right, how the people behave, the type of weapon, the look and feel, how the different thing was constructed. We also went to Japan to really see it with our own eyes. So the map we have, we kind of went every places we could to really see the vibe, see how the mountain, the forest, the ambience, all the vibe of Japan was really depicted well in our game.
And can you give us any examples of any of those little details maybe that come into it?
One of the big thing we saw in Japan is how the city versus the mountain versus vegetation was done basically. There was a lot of agriculture in feudal Japan, and the way the house are placed, it's always close to mountain to give a lot of room to agriculture, and the mountain are really full of forests, really big. So that's something when we came back, we adjusted our world to really feel that impression of those impenetrable mountains that are really dense. And the other thing is it's like the atmosphere. There's a lot of fog, so we develop a tech to support that, to have this misty feeling when you go around Japan.
Ubisoft has offices and studios all over the world, but originally is more of a Western studio. And then you've got studios that grew up in Japan. Do you feel like you've got a slightly different lens on Japan as a setting through the fact that Ubisoft has come from a slightly different perspective from Japanese studios?
We're trying to not recreate like a game that was made in Japan. We're creating a game about Japan. So we have our own perspective. For sure, like I said, we have a lot of experts to make sure we depict it well. But the other thing I would say, we are 14 studios working on this game. So even if Quebec is leading in terms of direction, there's a lot of Ubisoft employees that have their own perspective, and all those studios are across the world. So it's kind of a mix of opinion in some way, but always validated with our historian and our expert.
And with Assassin's Creed Mirage, the language that was used was very much not just Arabic, but Arabic that would have been spoken at the time. Is that same approach being put in place for Japanese in this game?
I'm not working directly with translation and people with actors and everything, so I cannot answer for sure. The thing I can answer, it's we will have a Japanese like dub version all the way. Our actors also come from Japan, so we make sure that like it will feel like a Japanese experience when you play with those settings, and we have experts that also look at the scripts. So I'm pretty sure it's really close to what it was.
I want to move away from the setting and more to how many games are being launched at the moment. So some people say we're getting new game fatigue. I'm thinking of series like Call of Duty, like FIFA, now EAFC, and people saying we tend to get a lot of the same with these annual releases. Now, Mirage only launched last year. Is there enough here that's new? And if so, how are you making sure that we don't get bored of new Assassin's Creed games?
Assassin's Creed Shadows was developed during the 4 years that have passed. So Mirage was a different team, so with different goals. So we're really not in the same. Like Mirage was more about what make Assassin's great, like a more an homage of Assassin's Creed. For us, it's really to make the new generation of Assassin's Creed games. So we have now that we are on the current console generation, we push everything in terms of tech with our engine, the tech we use. So we bring a lot of novelty. First, we have a big dynamic world that support full season cycles. So each time you visit a place, you can return and you will see it in different season as you progress in the game. So you can visit Osaka in winter or in spring, and it's also not changing the visual but also the gameplay. Like for example, like a pound can be frozen, so you cannot like dig inside and go underwater to approach. Heavy rain also have a big impact on the noise you can make, so you like it's covering your footstep in a way. So a couple of things like this, and in terms of stealth, we are modernizing the stealth experience, I would say. We bring back like everything you like, but we add the prone, so you can now crawl. That give another way to approach, and enemy perception also is impacted by light and shadows. You can vanish in the shadows, you can extinguish light, you can break brazier. So a lot of different things that is impacted by the dynamic world.
Assassin's Creed, a bit of an early adopter when it comes to the open world. What that means has changed a lot over the years. I'm wondering what you think makes the perfect open world, and has that changed because of new technology? Like you mentioned, how we can do seasons properly now, for example.
But to make a good open world, we need to have good autonomy in terms of player agency. So one thing we're really pushing, it's you are less guided than before. We don't spoil everything with icons everywhere. We let the player explore the world, look at the world, and we create a new system to help the player with that. We call it the spy network. So you have scouts that you can send ahead to help you to uncover your objective. So that's a new way to kind of explore the world. And also the way we split the stories. We have the main path, like the main reason why you want to go with Naoe and Yasuke in this world, but we have a lot of side story that you can discover along the way, new targets to track, quests to develop relationships. So a lot of content that you can discover by yourself. So for me, it's really about that, about autonomy, about discovering, and the fact that we have this full season cycle. It's pretty interesting because when you come back, you feel it's a different world, and it's a living world. It's not just a postal card.
We now know the next game is coming pretty much exactly 6 months from now. How are you going to keep the hype going until then?
Well, I cannot spoil, but we have a different communication beat. For today, it's about like the big reveal, the two character we have, and the vibe of Feudal Japan. And next, we'll have a lot of other things like gameplay trailer, things like this. And yeah, I cannot spoil what's coming. But yeah, there's a lot of things to say about this game.
So it's a watch this space.
Sorry.
So watch this space is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And last one from me. We've been to some pretty amazing locations for Assassin's Creed, and some people even say it's given them an opportunity to travel to places they wouldn't have been able to get to otherwise. Where would you like to see the series go next that it hasn't been to yet?
That's a hard question when I'm fully into Japan. So that's a good question. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Personally, I would love to continue Japan. We have, it was a bit hard to find what's the best thing, because there's so many period in Japan that is super interesting. Right now, we're in the late Sengoku era, but the Edo period is super interesting too. So I would like to continue this adventure and see other place in Japan, because we also had to find a place in the world that we wanted to have. But there are so many things to tell about this country. Personally, I would love to continue on this.
I mean, it sounds like the perfect job for a history nerd.
Yeah.
Charles, thank you so much